Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're unpacking the absolute masterclass in physics and strategy that is the modern USA-Jamaica track rivalry. We're going to dive deep into the biomechanical secrets behind the 100-meter and 200-meter sprints. You see, these aren't just races, they're essentially high-speed chess matches, testing the very limits of human physiology. So if you've ever watched these athletes just fly down the track and wondered exactly how their mechanics push the boundaries of what's physically possible, well, you are definitely in the right place. To kick things off, let's ask ourselves a pretty high-stakes question. What happens when you have absolutely zero time to fix a mistake? You know, in most sports, if you stumble, you've got a whole game or a long distance to make up for it, right? But in the world of elite sprinting, a single misstep, a microsecond of hesitation, or even just a slight shift in your balance, that can literally end your race before it even truly begins. Let's get into part one, track's greatest rivalry. Clocking in at a blazing 21.68 seconds, Team USA's Melissa Jefferson absolutely shocked the world in Tokyo during the women's 200-meter final. And she didn't just win, she actually took down the defending Jamaican champion Shericka Jackson. To put that into perspective for you, that run secured her a personal best and catapulted her straight into the all-time top 8 fastest times ever recorded in the event. Just a flawless, brilliant execution of speed and strategy on the world's biggest stage. Meanwhile, over in Poland, this massive rivalry just continued to heat up, but this time it was fueled by the next generation. We're talking about a 20-year-old Jamaican rising star named Tia Clayton. She delivered a stunning lifetime best in the 100-meter sprint, crossing that line in a magical 10.83 seconds to completely outright defeat a highly competitive international field. I mean, at just 20 years old, Clayton proved the Jamaican sprinting legacy is still wildly dominant, executing the kind of race that seasoned veterans dream of. Moving on to part two, the anatomy of the 100-meter dash. Think about it like this. Because the 100-meter demands maximum velocity almost instantly, athletes are operating in an incredibly unforgiving 10 to 11-second window. You are demanding your central nervous system to fire at its absolute peak to hit top speed in just a few dozen strides. And because this window of time is so minuscule, the margin for error isn't just small, it's practically non-existent. A single millisecond error, that literally guarantees a poor result, totally altering who ends up on the podium. So how do they do it? Well, mastering this extremely brief race requires 4 flawless phases, right out of the starting blocks. First, a perfect reaction time triggers your explosive power. That raw power is exactly what fuels your maximum acceleration. But here's the true wild secret to mastering this race. It's step 4, relaxation. Yeah, relaxation. You have to endure intense physical and psychological stress while somehow staying loose enough to maintain your form and prevent yourself from slowing down. Because basic physics dictates this event, a slow start is essentially a death sentence. As the experts note, there is simply no track left to make up for lost time. If an athlete fails to get a massive, powerful push out of those blocks, they can't just magically decide to run faster later to compensate. In the 100-meter, a poor start almost certainly guarantees a poor finish. Which brings us to part 3, the complexity of the 200-meter. Now, you might think the 200-meter is just 2 100-meter dashes back-to-back, but actually, scratch that. Doubling the distance fundamentally changes the physics. While the 100-meter is all about pure instant acceleration, the 200-meter is the severe test of strategic control and calculated endurance. It demands race management from start to finish, which completely shifts the athletic toolkit you need to actually win. Unlike a straight-line sprint, the 200-meter throws some incredible biomechanical curveballs at you, literally. First, athletes have to navigate the curve, meaning they must maintain top speed while fighting massive centrifugal forces. That takes immense core strength just to stay perfectly balanced. Then comes the straightaway, where they have to flawlessly transition out of that curve to sustain their velocity without breaking their stride. And finally, the true killer, speed endurance. They have to carefully calculate their effort so they don't just completely hit a wall and deplete their energy reserves right before the finish line. Part 4, the margin of error. In this longer sprint, the deciding factor almost always comes down to that concept of speed endurance. It's this precise, calculated mental and physical exertion over those grueling final 50 meters. It's that moment when the body is just screaming to slow down and lactic acid is flooding the muscles. The athlete who wins, well, they're often simply the one who decelerates the least. Mastering this intense endurance is exactly what separates great athletes from absolute legends. When we break down the mastery required for these specific mechanics,
It perfectly explains the absolute dominance of these athletes on the world stage. You have USA's Melissa Jefferson and Jamaica's veteran Sharika Jackson totally commanding the complex endurance and strategy of the 200-meter, while young phenom Tia Clayton is out there mastering the raw, explosive power of the 100-meter. It's their distinct physical optimizations that are really cementing the respective countries' ongoing legacies on the track.
So, as these spectacular athletes continuously rewrite history with perfect biomechanical precision, it leaves us with one incredible question to ponder. How much faster can the human body actually go before hitting its absolute physical limit? We've already seen records shatter that scientists once deemed completely impossible. As training science, footwear, and track technology keep evolving right alongside this fierce USA and Jamaica rivalry, who knows what breathtaking times we're going to see on the clock next. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and definitely keep your eyes on